Easier? All right. Good afternoon. I thought I'd address the Ishmael Adams situation first and foremost. With regards to Ishmael, obviously I can't get into any particulars because it is a pending legal issue. But what I will say is this: as a football coach, as a parent, you hate to see young men get themselves into bad situations. And one thing that I do is I take this very seriously, and I take it very, very personally as well. We consistently, as a staff, as a university, as a support group, stress the importance of making good decisions to our young men. And we talk about it on a consistent basis. And you hope with all your heart that it sinks in, but you don't always know. And one thing that we stress is from the very first day that they step on this campus as a member of this football program, they have a responsibility not only to themselves, but to their teammates, to their families, to this university, to our great fans, to their student body, to represent the highest ideals and moral values. And unfortunately, or fortunately, or really just factually, these young men live in the bright eye of the media because of what they do. And when they do make a mistake, it's magnified. And it tarnishes their reputation, and it certainly tarnishes to some extent the reputation of this program. So we do take it very, very seriously. And Ishmael has been suspended indefinitely. He will not play this week against Virginia. As facts become available, then we'll make our decisions as we go. We're excited about this week, and really our team has done a tremendous job of focusing on what is important to us in the immediate future, and that is playing the Virginia team that's coming in here on Saturday. They gave us an incredible ball game last year in Virginia. It's a physical team. It's a team that plays hard. They like to run the ball. You know, they've got 6 active tight ends, 12 offensive linemen that they use. Last year, as we all know, we got fortunate. We made some plays in the first half that got us a little bit of a lead. Our offense struggled against a very well-coached and disciplined and hard-nosed defensive team. We struggled up front. And we're really looking forward to getting out there on Saturday and I think finally, competing against someone other than ourselves. It's been a long, long time since we've been able to get on the field against somebody other than ourselves. And I'm excited to see where we are. I'm excited about our team. I think it's a mature team on the football field that has demonstrated the things I've asked them to demonstrate, which is a level of mental toughness and consistency that maybe we've missed around here. I'm hoping those are the things that we start to see at 12:35 on Saturday. But you never know. That's why you play the game. It's going to obviously be interesting to see how our offense reacts with a new quarterback behind center for the first time in 3 years, in Josh. As I've said, when we announced him as a starter, I'm sure there'll be some plays that you hold your breath a little bit, and there's be some plays that you hold your breath because it's a wow, did you see him do that? And the great thing for us, I believe, in Josh's favor is that we've got a really good football team around him, and we can run the ball and we can play defense, and we've got an experienced offensive line for the first time and a really good group of receivers, and we've played good special teams. So he doesn't have to feel like he has to go out there and do everything on his own. With regards to injuries, we are relatively healthy right now. Certainly not having a guy like Simon Goins, you can't discount that, but we anticipate Stephen Manfro being available on Saturday. He's done a lot of work on the side. We progressed him to individual drills today. Tomorrow he'll do teamwork, and we would use him in an emergency situation on Saturday. But we want to get him suited up. We want to get him out on the field. We want to get him feeling that game environment so that he's ready to go as soon as we need him. So that's it.
What's Ish's path back to being?
I'm not going to discuss anything other than what I said with Ishmael. I think I was pretty clear about where we stand, and it's right now an indefinite suspension. And as the facts become available, we'll go from there.
What were some of the things Virginia did defensively that were so effective last year?
A lot of man pressure, a lot of 5-6 man single dog pressure with the free safety, sometimes peeling when they were rushing 6 or just rushing 5 and keeping a safety in the middle. As you recall, last year we started a true freshman at right guard, and we had to move Scotty Quisenberry over to center because Jake had the calf. And then they really took advantage of that. They did some really great things inside. We called it a little barrel stunt, a 3-man game that gave us a lot of trouble. They had 2 really good defensive ends. And they pressured us, we just didn't make the plays. So you'd hope that with a more experienced and consistently, together offensive line, we'd be better up front.
Do you think it's a game where the offensive line can really maybe set the tone for the rest of the season?
You'd like that to happen. I mean, I've told our team this a lot of times, is that, in my opinion, the offensive line not only sets the tone, but the tempo for our offense. If they can get going and get back up on the ball and go again, that's difficult for a defense, any defense. And, I would hope, and I, we'll find out where we are right now on Saturday, but, I hope that, we've developed enough as an offensive line that we can at least show a level of consistency that allows us to move the ball consistently. That doesn't mean we're going to put it in the end zone every single drive or get first downs every single drive, but being able to eliminate penetration and eliminate negative plays, that's what we're looking for.
Coach, a little while ago you talked about this team getting back a little physical meanness, a little nastiness. How did you lose that, and how do you hope to gain that back?
I don't know that we lost it. I think that I thought we regained. I thought against Stanford we struggled. We weren't the physical, violent. When I say violent, I don't mean it in a negative tone. I mean in the tone of football that we would like to be. I felt like when we came back against Kansas State, we were back to that nature. And then I feel like through camp, there's been a level of physicality and speed and violence, football violence, that to me has been very encouraging. I think it's our guys understanding our schemes, their assignments, being fundamentally sound, where they can just kind of turn it loose and not think as much. And I think that enables them to just kind of reach their level of ability more efficiently.
So you want them to play with like a chip on their shoulder?
Well, I just want to play fair, but with a level of physicality and speed that that people feel, that people recognize. That hopefully when you're watching film of us, as your next opponent, you say, boy, they play physical. They play with a little violence. They play with speed. When you're sitting in the stands, you go, wow, they look pretty physical. That's what we're looking for, and hopefully it shows up on Saturday. That first game, there's so much that's unknown, and that's why you're anxious and you're nervous and you're also excited.
Is it hard to control that aggression in a first game? Is that usually your toughest game? Just because they haven't hit people for a long time other than themselves?
You have to be worried about that. You certainly do, because you're right. We haven't played against anybody since, what was it, New Year's Day or whatever. So it's been a long, long time. I believe that we've reached a point in our maturity on the football field where we're much more prepared to handle our emotions. We've talked a lot about playing with emotion without becoming too emotional during a game, and I think it's no secret that has been an issue with us in the past. I've tried to make these guys uncomfortable. I've tried to put them in stressful situations. I've tried to challenge them in a lot of different ways to prepare them for a Saturday where they're going to have to keep their cool, and hopefully we've made progress in that area.
Have you seen Josh respond in a particular way since being a starter?
I think one of the things that's impressive about Josh is his consistency of his personality. I think it's just who he is, and it probably is a lot, in how he was trained by his high school coaches, having a tennis background, where you just kind of got to go to the next moment, whether something happens good or bad. And he's had that level of maturity since I've known him. So I haven't seen a big difference. I've seen a guy that just kind of is trying to get better every single day and seems to be really unaffected, at least outwardly, by what's happening with him right now. And I think that's a good sign. Now we'll see on Saturday. We'll see when something good or something not so good happens on Saturday, how he reacts, and that will be very telling.
How are you going to compensate for the loss of Ishmael? Who will step up, play nickel, or?
You know what, Tracy? We got a lot of good players on this team, and we're pretty deep in the secondary. So we'll move some. We won't move any guys around. You always have a second group ready. You'll see probably a little bit more of a Darius Pickett in there. Octavius Spencer will get some work. You'll see Fish a little bit. Obviously Marcus Rios and Fabian are starting corners. Randall can play some in the slot, which means Tahan would go in. Jaleel can play in the slot. So, kind of like we always do, we're going to play a good number of players because we've got good players and we think they're capable of making plays. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you guys.
Just every possible scenario.
How's that arm?
That we covered all those. But in our little